Hello, it's Mark with VeloCab. Today I'd like to talk to you about how to get a great value in a bicycle. There are a lot of 70s and 80s steel lugged bikes out there on the market. You can find them at used bike shops, garage sales, flea markets, Goodwill, even on Craigslist. You shouldn't pay more than $120 for any of these bikes. But they have a great value because they're made of steel. They're going to last a long time. And you can change them from a drop bar bike, which is all about speed and low wind resistance, to an upright bike. The key things you're going to need, though, to do that are handlebars like these. You can call these Mustache or Swallow or Seagull. You're also going to need straight brake levers. In addition, you'll need some brake cabling. Let me give you an example of a bike that's finished. This is a Biscayne 80s bike from Japan, and it's ready to ride as a townie. It has fenders, new brake cables, and the townie bars plus the levers. Here's another bike. This is an Olympic, also from Japan, a little bit older, from the 70s, but you see it is a drop bar bike. And I'd like to take those bars and brakes off and turn it into a more upright townie bike. So that's what this movie is about. Value, how to convert a vintage drop bar bike into an excellent townie bike for less than $200 total. Looking for a vintage bike, there are really three things to look for. The first is size. So you got to find a frame that's right for you. How do you measure a frame? From the center of the crank to the top of the seat, that's post. This one is 59 centimeters. This bike is a little bigger, it's 64. Now you can go to Google and look for bike sizes, and you'll see that road bikes are measured differently than mountain bikes. And I'm 6 feet 2 inches, and so basically a 63 centimeter bike works for me. This is for a little shorter person. Second thing to look for after size is the quality of the bike, and I'm talking specifically about the wheel set. Aluminum's better than steel on the rims. The brakes, are they Diacomp or Shimano or a good manufacturer? The derailleurs, the cranks themselves. You're just looking for the quality of the bike. And the third thing to look for is the condition. If something is bent, if it has a lot of rust, if it's missing or has mismatched wheels, don't move, don't bother with that. In general, anything you find about the bike you can use to bargain down. As I say, you should never pay more than $120 for a bike like this, and I would say more like $40 or $60. All right, as you can see, I've removed the grips from this side of the drop bars. The next thing I'm going to need to do is cut the brake cables. For cutting cable, you need a tool like this. It's a cross cut or an overlapping cutter. You can't just get pincer type cutters. So you either buy something like this or you get a Park tool specifically for cables. I'm going to go ahead and cut the front and the back. The next thing is taking off the brake lever. You need a screwdriver, you need to push in the brakes lever, and the screw that holds the clasp on is right inside here. Give it a couple of turns, you'll immediately feel it loosen, the levers will loosen, and then you can just slide it off. On the bottom of this stem, there's a little nut that clasps the handlebars. You want to loosen that all the way. You don't need to take it off. But then you should be able to remove the bars. Okay, so here are my new steel handlebars, and I can just feed them right in to the stem. Usually these are standard size stems and bars, and this one fits. You could use a shim if you needed to, or you could replace the stem if you needed to. I'm going to set them up in place and just finger tighten and maybe a little more, but not really crank down on it yet. I might want to adjust later. Brake levers are the next step. You have some choices. These are steel, old school, all steel with a little weight ball at the end. No spring in these. These are spring-loaded aluminum made by Diacom. You can get these online. I have a choice to make. I think I'm going to go with the steel since this is an older 70s bike and it would just be more period appropriate. So we can slide these on. And make them finger tight. So next we're going to get brake cables and housing and replace those parts. Okay, now that you have your brake levers set about where you want them, not completely tightened down yet, you're going to measure the length of the brake cable that you want, the cable housing, and the cable should extend another 6 inches. Always use your cross-cut cutters. That's the only thing that really works. I'm going to choose this routing. This little guy here is an adjuster, this hanging adjuster for the brake tension and the caliper adjustment. So I want that to be almost all the way down in when I'm starting, because I expect this cable to stretch, and then I will be able to adjust this out by unscrewing. There's 2 little screws here. One of them is a lock nut, the other is the actual barrel adjuster. Lock nut, barrel adjuster. So like so. Okay, so we finished up the brakes by threading the brake cable down and through right here, this little nuts hole, and tightening it down. I tightened down the levers on both sides. And the handlebars from the stem screw here are also tight now. So, with front brakes ready to go, back brakes ready to go, we're going to take it for a test ride. Alright, I took it for a test ride, and this little Olympic is working great. I'm just going to put some grips on it, shine the whole thing up, maybe re-grease the wheels, the head bearing, and the crank bearing or the bottom bracket. And this is an excellent bike. I purchased it for 60 bucks, the handlebars for about 20 and the levers for about 10. Brake cables, I happen to have those. So overall this bike is right around 100 bucks. If you want help getting these brakes and levers and the handlebars, because they're hard to find, go ahead and send me an email, and I might even have a couple for sale. Fellow Cab Mark signing out.